Welcome to the Zuckage Podcast.
I was just checking for us. It is live on the YouTube page. I just refreshed it, and it says live with the episode 2 parameters. So we're good to go. We're good to go.
So now that just has to go be posted into the group.
All right, you want me to do the honors on that?
If you would like to, because I'm sure that you will antagonize people to try to get in. And again, we could always invite. We have that. Do you have a copy and invite link? Actually, if I make you a host, right? Can I make you a host too?
First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tag everyone. Let's see, everyone.
No, I guess you can't. I don't know. Maybe you've got a copy invite link over there. I don't know. I love that there was just one that was like one person that queued up to like watch, like, who's checking that out right now?
It was me.
Well, we look like boomers trying to.
Totally. Okay, hold on. Last minute impromptu podcast. Our first one in 8 months. Chris.
She is. Let's get Christina up here.
Oh, it's because my volume is down.
There you go. Welcome to the Zuckage Pod.
How do I make this shit bigger?
I could not. I got nothing.
It's okay.
Don't know what kind of screen you have, but there's probably something. It's probably in your browser. So, but just so you know, we are live on YouTube, and he is putting this into the group.
Okay. Thank you. Interesting.
We were just chatting before. I guess you guys talked about topics. I'm completely good with those topics, and it was like, I guess it's all about parameters.
There's a lot. Are there a lot of rules?
No, I mean, we could add like up to 10 people or something like that.
Okay.
I think you can share screens and you can do all that kind of fun stuff and normal stuff.
Who else is hopping on?
Kendall. When she gets back from putting Ryan down. And then I'm saying in the post that if anyone wants to jump on, Chris can invite them. We can bring on guests if people like what we're saying, or they want to interact, or they want to, give their 2 cents or whatever. So I'm telling them to let us know if they want to jump on.
That's fair.
Okay, almost done.
We aren't that sophisticated to sit there and say monitoring chats on all of the. I know that there are softwares that could do that, but if we get more than 3 people on at some point, like, that's something to be able to look at.
For sure. Okay, tagged everyone. Post. Oh, I need the actual link. And
so
now we post.
You're gonna link it to the group?
Yes, I just posted it in the group. I tagged you 2 and Kendall, and I used the everyone tag so that we can try to get some traction on it. So. Christina, you're the only one using her real background.
My background is shit from where I'm sitting at the current moment. So
I guess we're not pay attention to that. This is my first podcast.
It's my 4th. I did 2. I did 2 different ones for sales, for work type stuff with people who asked me to come on, and then I did the one with Chris and Kendall 8 months ago. And then
I'm so glad that Chris has Dr. Awkward, because I put Chris. I don't think they would confuse us. but it could
Oh.
get confusing.
Do you go by Chris a lot?
No, not really. Like almost never.
Oh,
My mother's the only one that calls me that.
okay. All right.
Hmm.
But just used it for your display name just because.
It's too long to type.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
Do we want to
So I
start
know-
talking
yeah.
about things because this is being recorded, so we can just like
Do I,
start
like-
the
I
conversation?
almost feel
and
like I
see-
need my notebook for this.
I mean, grab one if you need one. You
I
can
may.
take notes
Yeah.
if you need to. Yeah.
Pull up any research sites. I'm sure that we're going to get some people talking, or ideally we get some people talking.
I'm
exactly
really excited
if they
about
are
this.
looking at.
Yeah,
so I know
we were
that
chatting earlier.
you guys had talked about doing three topics to cover the Iran war, not war. Is it a war? Is it not a war? The AI topic with the Department of Defense, now the federal government itself, and the ethics issue, the reason that they stepped down, and then a little bit about the Epstein files, of course, which seems to always be in the background, personal thing for me as well. So those were the topics, and just want to. I think the Iran thing is probably the biggest.
Do you want to start with that one because it's the biggest, or should we make that the grand finale because it's the biggest?
That's true. I mean, we can go the other way around.
I'm good either way. So, what order do we want to do them in? Do we want to do Iran, Anthropic, and then Epstein?
Yeah, because I'm sure Epstein is always going to weave in through everything, but we'll try to keep it as its own individual topic.
Okay.
But I know that there's a
Look
pretty
at Christina getting her like additional setup going down there. Like, are you TikToking this? Are you TikTok live?
I was just going to ask. If I'm going to, yeah. But I figure I should get your permission first. Do you guys mind?
I don't mind. I'm fine with it. It's up to Chris.
I don't mind at all.
Okay.
All right, getting additional exposure, Chris. We're gonna grow our fan base, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that we get Kendall here. Hang on. Perfect.
Oh, is she here?
I'm back.
There we go.
Hooray!
Oh.
What's up? What's up? Okay, so wait, hold on. We need your permission too. Christina is also putting this on TikTok live. Are you okay with that?
What the fuck?
Yes, that's a
That's
yes,
fine.
right?
Yeah.
If I can,
Okay,
I don't even know how to do this, but I'm trying my hardest, so whatever.
that's all right. The effort is what counts, really.
Right?
I made no effort. I'm just here.
I mean, I didn't really make much of an effort either. I did pour a whiskey, and that took
an
a little effort. Yeah, that took a little effort.
Mm-hmm.
But
Let's take a little bit.
okay.
But I think like we were talking about the idea of parameters as an overarching theme, being able to define things, because the fight is for the story. I think that I do have a bias there that everything is a story. I know, I mean, y'all have probably seen or heard me rant about that, but like everything is for a story, and that's what was perhaps the most interesting thing or intriguing aspect of the last week and a half or however long it's been in the run up to the days before the war, not war. Is it a war? Is it not a war? Why did we go? Why did we not go? Or like the fight for that story, the contradictions like that have been put forward. I could not tell if it was, we don't know, and we're beta testing these to see which ones are like market research testing to see which one is going to work. If they let the real one out, I personally believe the Rubio story. Like the Rubio story to me is the most plausible.
Yeah,
That
sounds
he-
the most true.
The Occam's razor piece, where Rubio was asked on Monday, and he had said that Israel was going to, they had intelligence that Israel was going to attack.
Yep.
Well, he's
Um,
backtracking that
And,
now.
and if Israel was going to attack, then
Yeah.
Iran was going to attack us. And so rather than wait for that, we just joined Israel.
Right. And as
We just
bonkers as that
Bombs and
sounds,
shit. Yeah.
right? As bonkers as that sounds, though,
Crazy.
like the fact that Iran it's retaliated against 8 nations shows that there's some logic to that. Like it's if you 4-box that out about logical, illogical, or like moral, not moral, like you might think it's, I don't know if that's moral to do, but it's logical as hell to think about, are we going to get retaliated?
Yeah,
But it
He's
put us in a
very-
situation of us following and not leading.
100%. And like one of the big concerns is that Israel owns us, right? All that does is further that narrative. If people didn't think so before, they're certainly going to think so more now if we're joining in just because they were going to do something. And we're like, well, if they're going to do it, then we better fucking do it too, right? Like, it's just it's a wild way to have foreign policy.
Yeah.
What I always struggle with is, because I try not to get conspiratorial, but it's easy to get conspiratorial. You sit there and go, because I don't buy into any
That's
sort of
probably
thing.
half the reason I'm here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't buy that Israel owns us. It actually plays into anti-Semitic tropes, I think. You know what I mean? Like with media or finance things that have been used just wrongly, inappropriately, just like bad stereotypes and things like that. Just the connotation of it. But to also sit there and say they are a nation and countries have intelligence and countries are able to influence and exchange and do deals. We have a president that does deals and has marketed himself as doing deals. So the Occam's razor thing is there leverage? Is there a business deal? Like, is there something else or like, what is the reason?
But
Because the United
hasn't
States doesn't
Bibi
always
specifically, maybe not Israel as a country, like hasn't Bibi been specifically like just waiting for a president that would like an American president that would do this?
And has made many comments about how he does
Correct.
own us, right?
Right.
Like, and we're not talking about Jewish people, to your
No.
point about anti-Semitic
And
tropes.
we need to be very clear about that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about this.
We're talking about the Israeli government, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I wanted to
Right.
drill down on that a little, Chris, when you say, well, I don't believe, saying that they own us plays into these tropes. Well, do we believe Big Pharma owns us? Because I do. So that would be
I think
something
they
I'd
have
say, yeah, they do.
influence. I think what that means is, or maybe we're saying the same thing. I think
We
they
are.
have influence. All right. So
Yes.
that's like, I think but that doesn't necessarily mean that this is.
Do we
so big.
typically go
Yeah.
against Big Pharma? No. Why? Because they have moneyed interest that have purchased our legislature, right? Do we typically go against Big Oil?
But they have
Why?
they have their own leverage, right? We've
Yeah.
seen insulin companies take a leverage even and play gambles with humanity and people's lives and things like that. But they have leverage
100%.
back, right, to be able
Who?
to do that. It's not like there's helplessness that goes on, and we have certainly reined them in. So you bring in part of the legislative process, they feel good about it, and then they can put something like there's a deal to be done. It's not inherently to me like good or
bring them
evil.
in what sense? Like, I only see
Yeah.
them continuing to get further and further down that road. And like anyone who would dare rein them in, like Bernie Sanders, is a fucking socialist, right? Like, who the fuck's reining them in?
Okay, so I'll say government rarely bans things, but what they do is cause disclosures. How many of you have seen a fucking television ad for a thing? Do you think if it was up to them, do you think the last 25 seconds of a 30-second commercial would be telling you every single side effect about what
Don't
might
take this
happen
if you're
in
gonna
point
die.
zero zero? Like, if you take new Sky Rizzy song just dropped. Sky Rizzy. Hey, let's I have
You know
no
what
idea
happens
the
in other
fucking drug
countries?
is for.
You know what happens in other countries? They're not allowed to advertise their fucking drugs.
Mm.
But hang
That's
on,
the
let's not
difference.
don't move the goalposts. You were
I'm
like,
not.
how are they leveraging them, or how are they pushing back? How are they reining them in? They do what they do. Regulators gonna regulate. Like that is just like that. That's just what they do, because they rarely ban things. Like banning is like often talked about super extreme, but also like just doesn't realistically happen. But they regulate
Here.
them. So there is a lot of regulation and red
Here.
tape that they're forced to go through.
Right? Banning doesn't generally happen here. Banning generally does happen in most of the civilized world. In most of Western Europe, in most of the Nordic countries, in most of the countries that outperform us in every fucking possible metric, they do
We
ban
could be
this
doing
shit.
more, a lot more.
And
mean-
we're talking about, you have to say things in ads. When you talk about banning, I think about banning the substance itself, and that's not what anyone's suggesting. I'm suggesting that they can't advertise the shit, because it's the same thing in these other countries, right? But anyway, this is totally sidetracked from the point that I was
know. It's
making.
like I was like, boy,
right?
we're here
Because-
to talk about Iran, AI, and Epstein.
We're
and
talking
we
about
are,
Iran. Let me bring it back. Let me bring it. I'm bring it back around. Let me
AI.
AI.
Yeah,
AI.
after your lovely trip and selling us about Northern Europe and Western Europe
Yeah,
and
for
socialist
sure.
economies and all these
But
metrics, but
it's all related to what I was getting at, when I said Israel owns us, right? Because I believe big pharma owns us. I believe big oil owns us. I believe special interests own us. I believe foreign lobbies own us. And you call it influence, and I think that's totally fair. The way that I put it is maybe a little bit hyperbolic. It is, that they don't control every aspect of U.S. government, but
Right.
colloquially, what I'm saying is that they own us because their influence is so great that we very rarely push back against them. And when we're going along with their agenda, that to me is them owning us to a degree, the same way big pharma does, the same way big oil does, and the same way these other special interests do. And so I just wanted to be clear that I don't believe that's anti-Semitic in any way whatsoever. It's a commentary on how moneyed interest purchase our legislature,
Yeah,
and
like,
they work for them
I
instead
think
of us.
Yeah,
I
that gets
wanna
there.
go
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
theory.
Others.
Conspiracy theory.
I want to go back to conspiracy theories because I feel like we're all so distracted is not even a word that we should use. Like nobody knows what to focus on. Nobody knows what's truth. AI has so much to do with all of this, like the media and what they're pumping out, and just independent journalists as well, like content creators. It's just gotten really wicked out there.
For sure.
There is definitely there's a whole ethics discussion. Like few people talk about ethics and that, and it will be interesting to see what happens in the marketplace. Like there will be something. I think it will be some sort of like presidential ads that turn out to be like false, or something, or things that are going like that to try to influence deep fakes that will cause some sort of massive.
We've already seen a bunch of that, right? We're already seeing that become more and more prevalent. Those types of fake videos and fake ads. To your point, Christina, about distraction, or about how there's so much you don't know what to focus on.
So overwhelming.
That's the point. That's the point.
Exactly. I would say one of all of our very favorite people, Caleb, says all the time that they're flooding the zone. Right,
That's directly
strategy.
from Steve Bannon.
Yes,
Steve Bannon, before Trump even came into office, verbalized this on his podcast.
100%.
That this was their plan.
It's a
you dump so much shit that it's impossible to keep up with it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're overwhelmed, and we don't.
And it's
know
effective.
It's
effective.
It's effective, right? Like it may not align with people, but it is definitely effective, because through a different lens, somebody can sit there and go like he marketed, I use that word specifically, like how much they got done in the first couple of days, or how much they got, and he sat there and he was like signing all those executive orders, most of them symbolic, a couple of them actually meaningful, but like, at that point, like people aren't used to government moving fast. It's inherently designed to move by a grind. It's like some of the shit that he was doing was clearly performative, because it was like, hi, I'm going to try to like remove a constitutional amendment with the sign of my signature. It's like, that's not going anywhere. Like, but to a bunch of people, they're like, hell yeah, we just did that. And I'm like,
right.
No, you didn't.
So, and that speaks to an entirely different problem that we always touch on, which is how stupid people are. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's just, I'm being dead serious. I know everyone always is like, oh, he's talking about how stupid people are again, but I really truly believe that shit, like to my core, right? Like you buy into this stuff, and like so many people have no idea what they're talking about. They have no concept of history, no concept of context. They don't.
Nor do they care to know.
Nor do they care to know, right? They don't have a fucking clue about anything. And they just hear something and they're like, yeah, we did that, right? Like, no, you fucking didn't. You're just stupid. You're just stupid, and you just believe shit, right?
They just regurgitate what they hear from the
Oh,
talking heads all the time.
it kills me, Dan
It's
fucking
constant.
Beans, right? Like just
Oh my
repeating
God.
shit, just
That's
repeating shit.
That's a real human being. That
Yeah.
person?
That's a
Well,
real
I
human
mean,
being.
as far as we know,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm not buying
Try
it.
to invite his wife.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
That's a bot. That's a bot.
I remember I almost accidentally accepted her.
No,
the other
I
day, but
declined
luckily-
it
Oh, okay,
before
good.
you went
Wait,
in and
who?
accidentally
Which
did
one?
that.
Yeah.
So it was just still there as
Like
like a
you being a
phantom.
girl's girl at that particular point. Like
I
you don't
was
want
just
to see
like,
her
I'm gonna
husband get.
spare you
Nobody,
from this.
nobody should see their husband dragged like
Yeah.
that.
Well, and
so.
like I said, like the shit that Burke says, like shit.
Yeah.
We don't need this.
Especially
So-
that
Yeah.
So
shit
what, back
talk in
to
the
our,
corner
back
stuff.
back
like,
to
we
Iran.
can't.
Back to Iran.
back
right?
to Iran.
Yeah.
You know, what I wonder is like, what are we getting out of that deal? Was there actually a deal, or was it Bibi exerting leadership and saying, I'm going to do this, set aside the morality, set aside right or wrong, or whether you agree with it or not, like, or any of those sorts of things? And was it like, we are going and forcing our hand, like in a way that to me that demonstrates leverage, you know, without ownership or anything like that, because it puts us into a very tight spot, because maybe they're like that money is of course flowing all over the place, and influence is flowing all over the place into political action committees and stuff like that, and support, public image, and all that kind of stuff. And they are truly the only democracy that's in the region that we share intelligence with for others. But I just, it could have been that, or the conspiracy says that maybe there was some leverage that was happening, because our third topic,
Yes.
Epstein, of course, had some sort of was an intelligence agent, and
That
there
is
was
exactly where I was gonna go. I was gonna say, I know exactly what happened. We all know exactly what happened, right? We as a collective, what are we getting out of this? We aren't getting shit. None of us are getting fucking anything out of this deal.
Well, I don't think we've ever gotten really much anything.
You know, sometimes we get
out of-
oil, right? Sometimes we get oil
From Israel.
No, not from Israel.
Intelligence. We get a lot of intelligence sharing because,
Intelligence.
of course, they're in the region. You know what I mean?
get
And they've
that.
got-
I get that. Yeah.
No. From, and I didn't think Chris was saying what are we getting from Israel. I'm saying what are we getting by supporting Israel? What are we getting by joining that offensive? Right.
Right.
So Iran has the oil, not Israel. Right?
Well, yeah. I know Iran
and the
has
Middle
oil,
East in
that's why I
general.
was-
Same reason why we went into Iraq or whatever, right? But what my point is that we as a collective aren't getting anything. The president specifically, just the one person, is getting something, and what he's getting is all of the evidence of him raping kids being kept close to Bibi's vest. That's what he's getting.
There's that, or there's another aspect of it which dumbs it down really super simplistically, and that is Netanyahu knows how to influence Trump, which is by just saying how great he is and stroking his ego in the same way that the mayor of New York has been doing, and like kind of putting on a master class and sitting there going like, look, I'm going to do a fake ad and show this. So it's like, there's kind of, to tie it back to our parameters, it's like, where are the parameters here when it comes to like where the influence is, or what's in bounds or what's not? Because I see a lot of intentionality, but I never think that it's like, I always think, is there a way to simplify it down even a little bit to sit there and go like, what could it actually be? Like, is there leverage, or is there another sort of deal that was done, or like, there's got to be some sort of.
I always think in the back of my mind, there's leverage. Always.
For sure. But especially in a case like this, like you almost feel like there has to be leverage, because what in the fuck has Iran done
What
to
are
us?
we watching? Like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Like you said, performative, you know? Is this even reality? Like, I can't believe what my eyes are seeing.
And it's so normalized. Like, on one hand, it's great to see things on, it's great to be able to see things or to have it on, but it's like, I'm gonna watch the Cavs for a little while. What do you want to do after? Well, let's watch the war. Okay. And then we'll come back. Ties it back to our, but is it a war? Is it not a war? I think that they have, what's been super interesting is the Rubio thing about, like, we are starting to talk about, the reason to me that is such a linchpin in the discussion. And I know it could be like super super pedantic to others, but to me, the reason that is because it sets up where the intent was. Like you need to, or where the imminent threat was caused by. Because in order for the president to be able to take the action that he did, there had to be an imminent threat. Right?
That's interesting.
So like that is like, and I'll pull it up and I'll do the screen share. Justin Amash did a long post on it. He actually kind of broke down each section of the War Powers Act and each of the three, like that there was, like there was an attack, and there hasn't been, time for Congress to be able to do something. There's an imminent threat to personnel interests or the homeland, like clearly the homeland wasn't. So it's like, so there had to be an interest,
personnel interests, though, for sure. We've got them all throughout the Middle East, right?
For sure. So it's like if the I wouldn't say it's maybe catch-22 or whatever would be, I guess how we would say it, but it's if Rubio was telling the truth, then of course they had to walk it back because that then showed the U.S. wasn't leading, we're following, but secondly, it's a calculated risk and maybe a good strategic risk. It falls under there was an imminent threat then, but it's still this kind of chasm opens up around, well, that's a really kind of dumbass thing when you break it down, because you don't know if we're going to get attacked, but then you would go, if we had intelligence that they would attack us back, they had to do that. Or
100%.
Or we did lead because the president changed his mind and then said, no, in fact, I think Israel followed us, which nobody really believes, I don't think. And then Rubio had to go on camera and, of course, walk his whole statement back and contradict himself. But then that meant that we were leading. So then you would come back and sit there and go, if we were leading, then where was the imminent threat from?
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
I understand it on the other side.
Yeah.
I don't understand it where it is here. And I'm not trying to say that I have any sort of insight into anybody's intel as far as doing it, but that would have to mean that they were launching something, there was pending, and because they just, as was like articulated and reported, they had just gotten, Congress had just gotten a report from the intelligence communities about like there was no pending attacks, there was nothing like that coming. So what happened in 2 days, or 3 days that would have changed that, especially when they didn't say anything. So it's that they've opened up this, like, that's what makes this Rubio thing so interesting to me as the crux, because if there wasn't an imminent threat and we led, then that's illegal what we did. If there was an imminent threat, then the U.S. was following and not leading.
Who is even Rubio anymore? I feel like he's been body snatched or something. Like,
president of
who is
Venezuela,
he turned into? I honestly, like, I feel like
I haven't been
his soul has been taken from him and he is just like dead inside. I don't know. Like, it's sad. Go ahead, Christina. I'm sorry.
Oh, I haven't been paying attention to him.
Oh.
No,
I think like watching Marco Rubio and Scott Bessent has been both sad, but I also,
you were a Scott Bessent guy.
I am a Scott Bessent guy. But it gets to, and maybe it's a transition, to our AI or Anthropic conversation, because it starts to get to the same kind of thing that Andrew was setting up on his AI topic. But it's like, okay, we've seen all the things that Rubio has said in the past about Trump. We've seen all the things that Vance has said about Trump. We know that Bessent hasn't said anything negative about that, but he has been a lifelong warrior against tariffs and for free market economics, and all these sorts of things. And now his time in government is completely 180 degrees against that. So is it that if you are outside of the bubble and outside of and not there to influence the president, then of course you're just along for the ride and you're not able to influence it? Or do they take those jobs and maintain they have to have whatever their public face is, but try to whisper and try to curtail it in a little bit so that there is somebody positively trying to influence them?
I think that secondary option is an extreme minority, if it even exists at all. I think most of these people are for sale. What happens and what
I thought Marco Rubio was gonna be the guy to say no. Like, that's who I thought was gonna be the person in the cabinet to be like, no, Mr. President, you can't do that.
Nobody
he
does
is
that
not.
because in
He has
his
been the
first
exact opposite, and it like pains me because I just feel like that's not who Marco Rubio used to be.
Christine, what were you gonna say?
I'm gonna eat my pizza.
very good, very good.
Nice.
Here's the thing, Kendall, is that in his first term, everyone who was a dissenter in any way just got fired. They just got removed. And so there is nobody like in the second term, whether it's Rubio or anybody else, there's nobody who's going to be that voice because they're just going to be removed. And all of these
Are they though?
Yes. And 100% they are. If they are outwardly contradicting the president or even inwardly contradicting the president, like so many of people who were highly respected in our government for years and years and ended up very unceremoniously being dismissed in his first term. The same thing would happen this term. And my take on it is anyone who took a job in this second term knew going in that it was a raw power grab. That's all it is. It is to enrich yourself. It is to climb that ladder.
I'm going to debase myself.
And should we hold it
Yes.
North Korea type cabinet meeting.
Yes, you are selling your soul. You are morally bankrupt at that point, I believe.
I think Christine is right though. Well, like right there, like, do you hold that against somebody for like trying? Like, is that a
yes?
Yes,
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think if Rubio wants to be president, Rubio wants to be president. If Rubio wants to be president. If Rubio's enriching himself by saying, I want to be president of the United States, then being the Secretary of State, in addition to a U.S. Senator, is doing both of those things, is advancing himself. And I don't hold that inherently against somebody.
I do.
Like I do all your values. I do because like fuck that. No.
Yeah.
We don't know that he has abandoned all of his values.
Rubio looks dead inside.
You're not authentic.
Of course we do. How do we?
You cannot be trusted.
Yeah. I agree. I don't understand how you can say we don't know he's abandoned his values. Like we listen to him get up there and lie through his fucking teeth every day.
That's why I'm so like focused on this, but also every single politician does that. I guess what I'm more interested in is the conversations that we'll only know or look at the outcomes from, because I truly believe that we have a president who is can be so easily manipulated with compliments and pleasantries and lauding and flattery. That was the word. Thank you. I was losing the word.
Right.
Right. In it, whatever it is, but that's like an is, and you can't fuck with the is. And so like that is a way to kind of get to him. And so who is going to be able to make the best argument? And if you don't have people that are dissenting with differing views in the background, doesn't mean you get everything, but like there are ways to be able to come back. I know I said this before. I truly think the president was it's like the Zach Galifianakis between two ferns. He was between two hedgies with Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent, and like Lutnick won out on the tariffs until they lost on some things. So I'm wondering if Rubio is trying to be that voice in the background.
I don't think if he is, it's not working.
No, and I think I'm different than Kendall. I've never liked Rubio. I think he's a fake ass motherfucker. But I think most politicians are fake, right? Like I think that most of them at their core are amoral, if not immoral, and power hungry and looking to advance themselves. Because I think in order to even be in that position, there has to be some type of level of sociopath, right? Like sociopathy. I don't know what the word is, but you
Rubio
know what I
gives
mean,
me total
right?
Sociopath vibes right now.
The only one, like I try to.
Stephen Miller has girls locked in a basement. So, like, there's something wrong with him.
There's something we can universally agree on. Stephen Miller is not a good person.
That guy is creepy as fuck, and he is like directly in Trump's ear. You can tell, like even by the way that they both they say the exact same things. It's terrifying that these are the people that he's surrounded by.
And who was the guy who was always like whispering in Emperor Palpatine's ear in Star Wars? It's the same fucking thing, right? Or like
that's Stephen Miller.
Yeah, 100%. That's Stephen Miller, right? Or fucking what's it from Lord of the Rings, right? The guy. You guys know who I'm talking about? You know what?
I don't.
Never mind. It's going to be a sidetrack anyway. But yeah, that's exactly who it is. Yeah.
But wasn't your point that like should Anthropic have taken their money? Like, isn't it the similar type thing here? Shouldn't like Rubio take the job if it's gonna like somebody's gonna do that job?
No.
I'm being consistent.
Can I tell you a story?
On both.
Yes, you can tell us a story.
It's sidetracked, but it's like so we went block walking and just like go and meet the community and let them know who I am and that I am a write-in candidate, which is like an uphill battle, but we're gonna try anyway. And on the very last house that I came across, it was an older woman that had lived in this community for like 30 something years. And she was telling me about a former elected official's spouse and how she didn't like the current mayor. And I was like, how do you know that? Like, you know, she's been in the city forever. She had ran for office herself. She had a lot of dealings with all of the elected officials and the committee members. And I didn't have any like merch or like papers or like flyers or door hangers or whatever to give out to anybody because first of all, I refuse to spend my own money on that shit. So she like pulled out $100 and gave it to me, right? And then she went on to tell me about how I need to be in good with this former elected official's spouse because she's still heavily involved in the community, right? She's also a committee member because she doesn't like the current mayor because she's Black. And she just shared this information so freely. And I thought to myself, like, I do plan to share the video. I do because I'm just scandalous like that. But my friend, my campaign manager was telling me, maybe you shouldn't do that. Like she did donate to your campaign. And exactly what we're talking about right now is like, who can be bought, right? You're not going to pay me to be quiet. Sorry, you fucked up. You gave me your money. Sorry. It's going to go to a good cause. I'm going to spread awareness about the corruption here in the city and the racism. Thank you so much. I appreciate your donation. You're not going to pay me to be quiet. And my question, you know, to this woman is, and I shouldn't do this, but I can't help it, right? How do you know this about her? You know, like, why are you just so comfortably sharing this information? I just feel like these people all run in the same circles. And like, she felt comfortable telling me that because she probably felt like she was in good company about it. And it's just really crazy that like in a world, like in this shit still exists in this world today, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's a much smaller level than what we're dealing with on the larger parts of government, right? Like that's just a tiny little microcosm of the larger problem at the upper level. But back to
what Chris was saying, like I can't fault anybody for taking a paycheck, right? Because as soon as, you know, we were done talking to this broad, I tell my campaign manager, like, let's get the fuck out of here, man. Like when she comes out here and runs out asking for her money back, you know, can she do that? Like, yeah, I'm gonna take your money and I'm gonna use it towards a good cause. I get it, you know, like maybe they think they're doing their,
but they're not using it towards a good cause. That's the problem. Right? It's just for themselves.
But that's all subjective. You may not.
It's not.
You know,
it's
in their heart.
Subjective. Okay.
You know.
Sidetrack, right? Not actually bringing it back to the actual point of the podcast. Parameters, right?
Right.
Man, do I fucking hate this idea that it's all subjective. No, the fuck it isn't. Some of it is objective. It is objectively wrong.
I do not disagree with you, right?
Right? Yeah. So when we talk about, you know, well, they think they're doing the right thing. Fuck what they think. It is objectively wrong, right?
If it was objectively wrong, there would be no other thing to think. Like you.
That's not true.
For example, right? Okay. The number of planets between here and the sun has an objective number to it, right? There is Mercury, there is Venus. There is no like debate or discussion. Now, as soon as you start saying which one is the best one or which one is this or which, then you start to bring in this idea of truth. Yeah. I don't think that I think what you're talking about is truth, not really objectivism. You're talking about subjectivism.
No,
because if there is if there even could be some evidence towards something having a benefit, but there could be a benefit or a harm in another way that you just might not value the same.
Let's link this into our third subject.
Okay.
There's going to be people who are going to argue that it's actually okay, that it's not that big of a deal because those people are raping kids. Okay. And they don't think that what they're doing is wrong. They think that it's okay for them to rape kids.
Just a side note to intersect real quick. I was watching a Dean Withers podcast the other day, and he was debating a MAGA person, and they asked him what was wrong with raping children.
Yeah.
So I don't. That's horrible.
That was like, and he kept asking him that.
universal.
And Dean Withers was like, "How? What do you mean? What is wrong with that?"
Yes.
And he just kept going. And that is terrifying.
That's horrible.
And to that point, right, that is not in my opinion, and I know that we can get real technical on the definitions of subjective and objective, okay? But I like to speak colloquially as opposed to using the technical definition of every different thing, right? That is objectively wrong. That is 99% of us are going to agree. That is objective. It is not subjective. And so just because there's a small grouping of people who are going to argue from a different perspective, fuck those people.
It doesn't make it subjective. Like
it does not. It does not make it subjective. Right?
We have strong agreement right there, but other things that the administration may be doing, even though I would strongly disagree with them, like I have very personal feelings and logical feelings and economic feelings about the validity of tariffs, right? Or that, like the objective part is who is paying the tariffs in the 95% plus. Right, the American consumer through the American business owner, that part is there. But are they effective? You start to put into the parameter about what is somebody's objective or what is somebody trying to accomplish. Totally. That is just one of their things. So, like when we say that they're not doing anything and it's always objectively wrong, I'm like, okay, I agree with you on the Epstein thing. But I think a lot of these things are subjective in nature.
Yes. And I would agree that there are a number of things that are subjective as opposed to objective when we're talking about, a guy like Rubio or, some of these other people. There are political issues that certainly do have two perspectives and they are subjective. There are also things that, in my opinion, are not subjective, that are objective, right? And so, but my larger point is that the people in this administration in particular, but in most administrations, like I said, everyone has this level of sociopath to them in order to even get to this point, right? They are looking just for advancement, and there is no like, oh, well, I'm going to take this money and do good with it. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a, at best, they're apathetic. They're amoral, right? They may not be malicious and immoral, but they're apathetic and amoral. And they're like, whatever gets me further, whatever is going to progress my personal.
It's like the perfect example.
100%.
Don't get me started on that one. I could go down the rabbit hole on that one.
And that's what drives me nuts. And so, going back to, the parameters, let's actually, we never determined, any of the four of us, Iran, Iran. Is it a war? Is it not a war?
Here we are. Like it's such a great thing. For me, I view it plainspokenly as a war. That is a strong thumbs up from a parameter. And my sense is that, and I did the same thing when we were debating the word attack or war against Venezuela, and my mind immediately went to, if a foreign entity sent planes and choppers into Washington D.C., landed on the lawn of the White House, went in guns blazing, killed Secret Service, did a bunch of similar type things, extracted the U.S. president, flew him out and arrested him, would we be at war with whatever country that we just did? And universally, everybody's like, you damn right we would be. But this was not a war because we had issued an arrest warrant for him. So it's like all of a sudden we're like the world police, and I'm like, So to me, it's a war. Plain spoken. This is absolutely a war.
So me and you.
I call it smoke and mirrors. That's what I call it.
You don't think it's a war?
I call it smoke and mirrors.
I know, but that doesn't answer the question. What we're trying to do is use parameters to define: is it a war? Is it not a war?
I mean, I guess it's a war.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's a war.
There you go. I agree with both of you. I think clearly, it is a fucking war. Right? We have had multiple service members killed already.
I wanted to bring that up. Did you see the senator or the senator candidate? I can't remember what state he's from. They broke his arm, pulling him out of a meeting.
Yes, I saw they broke his hand. Yeah.
He said, I'm not going to this war. We're not losing our lives in this war. It's like,
yep.
Yep,
I
missed this story. I did not see this story.
So one of the senators were trying to remove a Marine who had his hand around the door, trying to prevent him from being dragged out, and they fucking like slammed the door and crushed his hand, broke his hand. The senator did. Yeah. So they broke his hand as he was protesting the war. He was in the hearing, talking about exactly like Christina said, we're not going to go die for you. We're not going to go die for Israel. We're not going to this and that. And whatever. Yeah. And yeah. So to me, when you have a protest like that, you have service members being killed, you have offensive strikes, you have retaliatory strikes, you have our president and Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State all prepping us. Oh, you're back for a prolonged conflict, right? Yes, it's a fucking war. Stop trying to call it something it's not, right? Like, we got to get back. We got to get back to just telling the truth about what things are and aren't, right? And we'll spin more into this in the next subjects, but that's a huge problem we have in society in general. Is not defining what things are and things aren't, pretending that every perspective is valid and like, well, if you think this or if you no,
let's put Lando in our camp too. He just left a comment in the in Zuckage. He's like, nice, it's a war. I'm like, it's a war. It's just it's plain spoken. It's absolutely plain spoken. And
I don't even drink during the week, and you guys are making me go refill my whiskey. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna go play in the flowers for a minute too.
Okay, I'll be right back. I literally it will take me 45 seconds. I'll be right back.
Gotta do.
This is live entertainment here, so there's no the show must go on. I think the war aspect comes back to again that intentional language of like when it comes down to lawsuits or when it comes down to reviews, when the House is doing its job now or doing its job in a couple of years and reviewing back to see, were these things authorized? Were they within the parameters of the law, or if things go to the Supreme Court? I think those words really matter. I think that's why they're trying to use.
At the end of the day, I question if any of it matters.
Yeah, I mean that's also true. Like there is not. Annalie and I talk about this all the time. Like we're like at the end of like we can care about something, and then at the same time you go, is that really going to impact anything? It's like there's a nihilistic approach that's just sort of like doesn't really matter
at the iceberg. Seriously, like we're just barely scratching the surface here.
But I do think it's important to have things that are generally defined, because we were not attacked, but we would have been attacked if our ally was attacking. So I understand that. Like I just think it's a weak reason. It just shows that we're just kind of following. But it's a war, and I think they should be going to Congress. I don't like some of the rhetoric that comes from some of the other House members. I think Speaker Johnson, I'm paraphrasing here, but I think he actually said words to the effect of it would kneecap the president, it would endanger the mission. And I'm like,
yeah,
you doing your job as the Speaker of the House and calling to support the president, or making the case, to me shows that they don't have a strong story to be able to tell, because anybody can make, like President Bush asked for a version of war powers. It was just, authorization of force, but he still went to Congress twice.
Mike Johnson is a puppet. I mean, there is no other. He's been doing Trump's bidding. I mean, how many days have they been in session?
Recently, I don't have that.
I mean, just like in the last year. I mean, I feel like they've been out of session more than they have been in session to avoid votes, to avoid
the House's job
swearing
is
in senators. I'm just like, so, or
what does this all have to do with disrupting midterms? Can someone explain that to me? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
What, say more, like, because there could always be a way that something could be used, like what this right here, like as a national.
They were interviewing Trump, like he was outside somewhere, and they asked him about like his strategy to use this as a disruption to midterms, and he I guess he was taken aback. He was like, "Who told you that?" Like,
oh, I haven't seen that. I guess it would mean like if there became a threat to the U.S. homeland, to U.S. infrastructure, could special powers be enacted to delay an election X amount of time or give some federal control?
That part.
Yeah.
Personally, I think ever since Zelensky came, right, and he made that little joke when they were kind of joking about how Zelensky didn't have to have an election right now because he's in the middle of a war and the elections are canceled while they're in a, he's like, I like that. I really like that. And I feel like he's been building us up ever since then. I feel like he's had that in the back of his mind, right? And he's been sitting on it and just thinking, how can I get to a place where I can call a state of national emergency or be in like a wartime or have some excuse, some reason.
It's awful early. Again, it would be awful early to be doing that, but like, the
midterms aren't that far away. We're pretty close.
Have to be determined to see if we are going to still be dealing with all of this, come the end of the year. If past performance is indicative of anything going forward, we were in Afghanistan for 20 years. We were in Iraq for not that long, but we still have positions there, obviously. So it's
guys, should we bring Pokes on? He just said that he might want to come on and offer a dissenting opinion, right? Yeah. Right, Chris, you've got the invite link. If you look on our on my post in Zuckage, he was like, "Oh, nobody wants my dissenting voice." I said, "Sure, we do, buddy. Come on." So if we can link him or send him an invite,
right? that link that I sent you in our group chat, you can use
same
that.
One.
Same one. Send it.
Let me see what I can do. All right, hold on.
It would be interesting to see what he would say as a dissenting, because I feel like I'm a bit dissenting to some of the things that you guys are saying, even though I'm like, so I'm always good for additional dissenting voices.
Copy.
But I also, I'm like, I'm trying to find what a reasonable approach could be. But I don't know that, again, a couple of years ago, there weren't going to be elections, right? Or there wasn't going to be an election. That was part of the rhetoric. And now it's, well, there are going to be elections, but now that they might try to take them over, or they might try. Like, I just think that there's going to be elections. Like, I think that we're going to have elections. And I also think that the Republicans are going to lose bigly, even with their redistricting. with all of their redistricting, I think they are, because history is already in favor of showing that parties who are in power, no matter with the most popular presidents, with Congress, they still lose power. But they should be, the Democrats right now still don't have a message, which is its own other podcast. Like, we can't. That would be a whole separate, like, just not being somebody isn't a platform. So like, we should make that the next one. But let's get Pokes in here. I'm assuming you might want to talk about.
I sent him the link. So we'll see if he shows up or not. That'll be interesting for Iran and Israel.
I'm here for AI.
You're here for we could talk about that, because Andrew, go ahead and talk about your position on AI, then about Anthropic.
So look, like I said, I think that what kills me about it is that, as soon as they declined the contract and said, no, we're not going to let you do this, it's immoral, it's wrong, we're not removing all the guardrails and letting you use AI to just autonomously determine who to fucking murder, right? Somebody else immediately just came in and said, well, we'll let you do it. Right. So it puts us in this position where it's like, even the people who try to take a moral stand, the only thing they accomplished was losing out on money, right? They lost out on the funds that now just went to somebody else who was willing to sell their soul. And I think the problem that we have is when you create that kind of atmosphere where we as a society, or we globally as humanity, don't violently rise up against that and say, absolutely the fuck not. We're not doing that. Right?
Why aren't we doing that?
Because we're super content and complacent. Like, so I'll be very, very honest and transparent right now. I talk about this a lot, actually, right?
I'm sorry.
I'm going to make it short and then I'm going to flip it to you. So I am a huge supporter of class war, right? About working class versus the ruling class. And like, I believe in rising up. And like, if there is an uprising, I will support it 100%. Go fucking get those CEOs, right? Like I'm all about it. But am I going to be on the front lines? Am I going to leave my wife, my kids, my job? I have a really fucking good life, all things considered. Now, my life is not like 99% of the people on this planet and about 90% of the people in America, right? I take a lot of vacations. I travel. I make good money. I own things. I have a very, very comfortable life. So despite me relating to that class struggle and supporting that class struggle, am I going to be on the front lines leading that class struggle? No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I'm only going to be able to support it from the background because I've got too much to lose. And I'm more than happy to transparently admit that, right? And I think that that's where, to your point, why are we not doing that? Most people are just comfortable enough, just complacent enough that they've got that same mentality. Like, yeah, I support it in theory, but like, I'm not going to be fucking going out there with a fucking AR doing it myself. You know what I mean? So we got to be real about it. So I'll flip it to you.
I guess that's kind of like the issue I have is like, it doesn't always have to be so loud in your face. There are little things that everybody can do to help in their community, just to bring like the slightest bit of awareness. It doesn't have to be loud in your face.
Well, for me, I run a political group on Facebook. It's called In Case
Shut the fuck
up. If anyone doesn't know about it, feel free to join, right?
I was like, that was a bit of a hat tipping moment. He was like, I actually run the Facebook group.
Yeah. That he asked other people to do things for him.
For sure, 100%. Same thing we just talked about, because I'm not going to fucking do it.
I don't want to do it. I'm busy.
Got a lot of shit going on over here.
So who's getting comments from the group? Only
Lando and Andy have commented so far. We've got a bunch of likes on it. Carlos and Dave and a couple other people who are, at least somewhat looking at it and possibly watching. And
Jeff
then
Murray.
Jeff, yeah. And last time we did this, we gave everyone a heads up and like we really planned it, told them what the subjects were going to be, told them who the guests were going to be, all that.
It was very interactive.
Yeah, and Andy said, give me a minute. So he probably will be coming on. And what we'll do is, this is being recorded. So when it's all done and over, we'll post the recording for people to comment on and watch as well. So, yeah.
I actually agree with you on the idea of taking the money, because somebody's going to do it and it would allow them to have a seat at the table. Right now, they no longer have a seat at the table for the most part, meaning Anthropic. But $200 million is a lot of money, and right now, like, AI companies are struggling on the capital side because it is money coming in, money coming out. The amount of data centers that are being built, like the money that they're spending on energy, The infrastructure costs themselves are crazy. So it's good to see the moral side of that business, and I'm sure they'll try to spin that, and maybe it was for consumers to get them to like fight for the cause or whatever their cause is going to be. It's all the same shit, and it's still pulling from a lot of the same data sets that things are pulling from. It's just like, whose algorithms are we using, whose software capability are you using at that point? But the underlying stuff is still all there. The infrastructure is still there.
I have a question about the data centers.
Sure.
Are they, from what I'm gathering, because they're planning on building one in Spartanburg, which is right next door, and they say it's going to create 50 jobs, which is good, I guess. But that it's also going to be a huge strain on energy costs for people in the area, and it's going to take a huge hit on what land we have left here that is not yet developed. So
I can tell you there are high energy uses. Like,
what
I don't
was
know
the
your
question part?
Yeah.
I wonder, like, what's the benefit of expanding these data centers long term, why we're pushing so hard into this and like leaning so far into it. I just don't.
I've got this one, Chris.
It's
because a teeny tiny group of people will get exponentially richer.
That's I know. I get that part, but it's like, why are we funding this? Why are our local legislatures why are they letting this happen? It has to be because they're getting kickbacks and they're getting money from it. I mean, there's just something just has to be done somewhere in there.
I've been telling everybody, I just talk a lot. I can't believe I'm letting you guys talk because I talk so much. But I was telling her that, her generation was raised on, we don't discuss politics or religion. And so that bred an entire generation of people who didn't know how to discuss politics or religion. So they just kind of sat back and accepted, like, they voted red or blue, and, they voted for colors, they didn't care what was going on in the background. They didn't even know to care. They weren't taught to care. That was,
Yeah.
And now you have a generation that is, I hate to say it, is woke, and paying attention and looking beyond. Like, they're removing the rose-colored lenses and they're actually taking a deep look at this.
Well, I guess I would layer in that they have access to information that the previous
technology.
That previous generations had, like, whatever 3 channels of news.
Right.
That's definitely part of it. I'll go a step further and say it's partly our generation, my generation, being willing to have those conversations with their children, right? Mm-hmm. Me and my kids talk politics a lot. We talk about what's going on with Trump. We talk about what's going on in America. We talk about what's going on in the rest of the world. And I do my best to give my opinion on it.
I can't see you.
What's up, Andy? To give my opinion on it and explain why, right? And allow them to have their own thoughts and give me their opinion and explain why. But it's a very open conversation. So it's kind of the opposite of what you were saying, Christina, where you vote for a color, you vote because your parents voted that way. This is just the way it is. And it's kind of like passed generation to generation. I don't think that those of us in our early 40s, late 30s to mid 40s maybe are really doing it that way anymore, where we are willing to have these conversations with our kids and really open their eyes to what's going on and why it's going on and how maybe they can start fixing the damage that these fucking boomers did.
I know. You boomers. God.
Right? So anyway, what's up?
Not all of them.
What did you want to talk about, brother? Your dissenting opinion.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just sure everything you guys are talking about has nothing to do with anything I agree with. I think you guys need that, though.
Oh, we do. We need a little edge to us. So, look, we were talking about Iran and whether it's a war or not a war, and what exactly was the reason for going into this offensive against Iran when they haven't really done anything towards us in my lifetime that I can remember as an adult anyway. So we were talking about that, and now we're transitioning into the Anthropic and AI thing, where Anthropic declined that contract and said, no, we're not going to give you our AI technology, remove all the guardrails and allow you to just autonomously drone strike whoever the fuck the AI tells you to. But as soon as they did that, 24 hours later, OpenAI said, well, we'll let you do it. And then they fucking gave them the contract. And so Anthropic missed out on the money, and really they accomplished nothing because the next guy in line sold their souls in order to allow the government to use AI to drone strike whoever the fuck they want, including us. You're right. So those are the two things we've been talking about so far. What are your general takes on those?
I can't really comment on the AI because I haven't kept up on it. And honestly, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. So
crazy.
I really can't. As far as the attack on Iran, that's a complicated one. I'm not really one of those gung-ho people that was all for it. I've been very worried from the start about it. Now, do I think it's something that could benefit the entire world if it all goes right? Definitely. Do I think it could? Are we allowed to curse on this thing?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, do I think it could really? Do I think it could really, fuck things up? Yeah. So let me go through a couple of my. Let me go to the pros and cons of it. So, this is a war that, make no mistake about it, it's a war. I mean, there's other countries that are involved, and should it keep escalating and it goes at least another week, this is going to be a full-blown war. I think everybody knows that. And I think if it keeps going on, it's bad for people like me, for example. Well, not really me. I don't go around wearing a yarmulke. I don't really, nobody knows I'm Jewish, but at the same time, you could see like the rise in Jew hate around the world. It's pretty obvious. There's something new every single day. I think a synagogue got shut up in Toronto a day ago, and somebody got beat up on a subway today for wearing a kippah, which is always fun. So if this war keeps going on, most people just, they know who they want to blame on it. I think
anti-Semitism will continue to rise if the war continues to go on. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I mean, look, it's going to rise whether the war goes on or not. It just doesn't make it any better. That's really what it comes down to. But I also think this is a war where this regime in Iran is just, it's horrible. I mean, I don't know what kind of threat they really had on the world. I mean, and let me take you a step back. Back in 2000, and I guess it was 2002, when we went into Iraq, we had nuclear inspectors go around, and they never really found anything. And we wound up going in, and the real reason we went in is because Bush wanted to finish what his dad didn't. And there was a lot of lives lost. What people don't realize, well, some people don't realize, is it was the start of ISIS, and there was a lot of terrorist, activity because of us being in Iraq's territory for 100%. Such a long time, 100%. And it was a rebuild. I don't want to see that happen here. I don't want to see American lives lost here. Do I think the world is much better without a regime in Iran, which really is the sponsor of world terrorism, and they control other entities like the Houthis and Hamas and Hezbollah? A world without all of that is a good world, but how do we know one bad regime won't get replaced with another one? And then, going on top of that, how do we know who won't get involved? You see North Korea, North Korea is just talking shit. They're not doing shit. We'll blow North Korea off the fucking map if they ever tried to do anything. But I don't want to see American lives lost. I don't want to see this war go longer than another week. supposedly, and I keep I see so many differing opinions. Supposedly we have complete control over the skies. We've taken everything out. This won't last much longer, but who knows? I mean, if they're going to keep fighting back, if other countries are going to get involved, I see that the Kurds are involved now. Saudi Arabia is involved, but it's a different world, and the world hates us. The world would hate us either way, so it doesn't really matter. But
we're not helping matters, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's really part of the issue, right? When you talk about like, well, it's going to last another week, like what conflict have we been in that's only lasted like a week, right? Like Afghanistan lasted 20 fucking years, right? Iraq lasted however many years, right? Like all of these end up being these prolonged, engaged conflicts, and it's like I agree with you. I don't want to see American lives lost, right? Up
I
too
can give
late.
one counter
Fucking
to I
already
give one
happened.
count I can give one counter to that, and I'm not trying to stick up for the guy because I'm not a yes, I voted for him, but it was more me voting against what he was going up against. But he, everybody said there was going to be some long conflict after Venezuela. It never happened.
I was going to say that one.
People
right?
people said after he killed Soleimani back in his first term, it was going to be World War III. It never happened.
Yeah.
So at the very least, this thing started days ago. They haven't even gotten out of the driveway
What
yet.
feels different about
So let me
I would
so
counter that just a little bit with he also said that Kamala was going to get us into a war with Iran, and he wasn't. And
you see all the tweets about him saying the same shit about Obama too.
To talk about how he was the peace president and how this was never going to happen, and we didn't have to worry about this, and fuck the neocons. And here we are with a room full of fucking neocons, fucking Lindsey Graham. Oh my God, I just want to fucking chokehold him
the
so
swamp
hard.
always wins. The swamp wins.
I cannot wait for this midterm because I feel like South Carolinians might actually like have a brain this time and might actually vote him out. And I can only pray. He went on TV talking about how he's like laughing about this whole situation.
Well,
it's a joke.
Lindsey Graham's a warmonger. We've always known
he
that.
is, and I feel like the
100%
rest
always
of them
has
have
been.
turned into
I mean,
warmongers.
I mean, I know everyone loves her because of January 6th, and Liz Cheney, and she's a warmonger too.
I do not
These
love
people,
Liz Cheney. Like,
for all those people that
Liz
think
Cheney.
she's wonderful too.
you could be right about one issue, and we could be like, okay, cool, she's right about that one issue, without like becoming a beloved figure, right? Like Liz Cheney can suck a fat bag of dicks. Fuck that.
I'm a huge Nikki Haley fan, but I'm also under no guise there that she would have done the same. She would have absolutely.
She was my choice.
She would have done what, Chris?
She would have absolutely followed Israel into Iran.
Interesting.
So,
I think she would have as
Look,
well.
if you truly believe that, then what the fuck was the point of voting for her?
Because there's other things. Well, for starters, she's not Trump, but she's still.
If they're gonna do all the same shit, then why does it matter?
Here's the thing, man. I think that the world is not single issue. People can be single issue, but the world is not single issue.
I agree.
I don't think that we would have the same market chaos and all of those tariff issues that we would have had if we would have had Haley as president at all. I think we would have had a much greater discussion around some fiscal conservatism. I don't think we would have seen a $7 trillion budget.
She would have been presidential about things at least. He wouldn't be.
Absolutely.
There's a couple things with the problem with today's world. Now, everybody talks about what's happened in the past, but let's talk about today's world. Today's world is social media, so you have a whole bunch of differing opinions. Some are evil, some are not, some are idiotic, and it's loud. You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have everybody has a platform to speak their voice. You didn't have that in the past. And then you talk about some of the hatred. I mean, people just hate each other today. There is never going to be a world again where you have the left and right ever working together for anything. So it's really just us or them.
Man, I hate that. Here's why I don't like.
I don't believe that only because they're doing it right now. On the
I-
other
No,
side.
everybody hates
A
each
lot of
other. I
people
mean,
are.
do you really think the left and right are ever going to work together in
I don't
Congress?
think the left
I
and right.
do. I really do.
I don't. There's no
I
chance.
I see both sides of this. And I'll
No, you
give
got
it-
the neocons, and you got the Karens and the
No,
left.
I think after, and listen, when I say this, I am not wishing this. I am not hoping for this. But I think when Trump,
dies.
days
Expired.
comes to an end, okay, and MAGA has nothing left to hold on to, I think the fracture it's going to be unsustainable. I mean, even right now, if you go and look at all of these different factions within the right, it is so divided. I mean, this, especially with this Iran thing, like they are like on fire. I mean, they're eating each other right now. It's crazy.
Well,
And
you
I
have
think
you have
after
the
there's
right
no
and
more Trump, who is left to carry that
Who's the new
torch?
Trump?
JD Vance?
Yeah.
it's called the
Absolutely not.
it's called
Like-
the woke Reich, REICH, is what you have.
Hey.
And
Oh.
basically, yeah, it consists of people like Tucker Carlson, now Megyn Kelly,
Yuck.
Candace Owens, who's just gone off I mean, I know people hated her before, but now she's just a major conspiracy theorist.
Oh, she's wild.
She's trying to be
so
Alex
crazy.
Jones.
She's Alex Jones on steroids right
Dude,
now.
I've been watching her Erica Kirk series, and it is the most unhinged shit.
Her and
I've
Erica
ever
Kirk have like
You know-
this
you know,
crazy
two-
blood.
I'm sorry.
Dude.
Erica
It's
30 years,
wild.
30 years,
is
30
being
years,
weird.
30 years
Erica
from now,
Kirk is
she's
being
going to
weird
write a
as fuck,
series.
But Candace is like reaching so hard right now. It's
Right.
crazy.
Well, if you
Oh.
actually, I was watching something earlier where basically they were making fun of Candace. They had a picture of her as an old lady 30 years later saying, I was in a coffee shop and Erica Kirk, used pepper instead of salt. And it proves once and for all that she was behind her husband's killing. It's crazy.
She's out there.
Totally. All right. So look, I don't think that your Iran take is like particularly dissenting from the rest of us. I think a lot of us mostly agree with a lot of what you're saying there, right? You did say exactly what all of us said, that it is a war. It is a war, 100%, and it's crazy to say that it's not. And the longer that the conflict prolongs, the more that
let me
proves itself
let me
out.
revise that statement.
Yeah.
It will be a war.
Yeah.
It's
in the beginning
there's-
phases still. It's only been a week.
But I'm
Right.
curious how.
We're in it.
I mean, what I'm curious is what's the end game. I mean, the end game is technically to keep them from having nuclear weapons, because the last thing you want is a crazy radical Muslim regime with a nuclear weapon, which anybody on with a brain should really agree with. But at the same time, that's no reason to, if they put troops on the ground, I'll be very worried about that. I don't
I'll go a
like
little
the
bit
idea.
further than you here, right? You talk about, of course we don't want crazy Muslims with a nuclear weapon, right? I also don't want crazy Christians with a nuclear weapon, or crazy Jews with a nuclear weapon, or crazy atheists with a nuclear weapon. I don't want any fucking crazy people with a nuclear weapon. In fact, I'd prefer if no one had any nuclear weapons, because if you have one and other people don't, you are the ultimate arbiter of morality, of what is right and wrong. Because if anyone disagrees with you, you can blow them off.
I don't want. Yeah, we don't want. You don't want religious extremists with nuclear weapons
or
Let's-
unreligious
let's-
extremists. You just don't
Well,
want fucking in an
just the way-
ideal
that's just-
world.
They don't want religious.
there's nothing you can do about that now. But at the same time, if you look at, I guess the best way to describe it is, people are going to have nuclear weapons. We have Pakistan and India with nuclear weapons, and
I hate
God
those.
forbid something happens there. Russia has, almost many nukes as we have, China and North Korea as well, and it's
Israel?
scary to think about who has them.
Israel?
same-
Is that what you said, Chris?
Israel's not going to use a nuclear weapon. I
Do
mean,
they
But
have
do they
them?
have them?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had them for years though.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking
so
like
is
a long
fucking
time.
Most
everybody.
of us
We've had
know
them
that,
since
yeah.
1945 at least, right? So
But look, I look at the Ayatollahs. the same as having Osama bin Laden get his hands on a nuke. That's, that's kind of how I look at it.
So look, let me flip it back, because I tend to agree, but like I said, my preference would be that nobody has them, period, and that includes atheists. Like
then
Ken
we go to
says,
Superman. We're not living in Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, though.
We're not. We're
Worst
not.
movie,
Right.
by the
But
way.
that would be my
Worst movie.
ideal. Right. Like that would be the ideal world. Right. But let's pretend that you're one of the parties that does not have them. Okay.
Mhm.
And you see all these other competing parties that do have them, and they're like, no, you're not allowed to, but all of us can. Fucking 30 of us can have them, but you 5 cannot. Right.
Mhm.
How's that going to affect you? How's that going to make you feel? How's that going to make you react? You're going to be like, hey,
I'm going to be like, I'll make one myself.
Fuck you.
Or I'll,
Yeah, exactly, right? So it only makes the problem worse. It doesn't
But
make it
that's-
any better.
But that's the thing. I mean, countries have been trying to have them for years. I'm actually surprised. I'm honestly surprised Iran, if they don't have one already. I don't know how. I mean, they are aligned with other countries like
You know
China.
what's interesting?
They're
is I
aligned
kind
with
of
they're
think
aligned
the
with North
same
Korea.
thing. I kind of feel the exact same way as you do. It really shocks me that 80 plus years after we dropped the first atomic bombs, that not every fucking country on earth has figured it out at this point. Almost
the only reason
100 years
the only
later.
reason I don't feel like Iran doesn't have one is because if they did, even if they had something close, I can't imagine they wouldn't give us something to one of their proxies and have them just walk straight into the heart of Jerusalem and
I
have them
thought we
do a dirty
obliterated
bomb.
their-
Or, maybe they have somebody here. I mean, who knows? Nobody knows.
So
the
here's why
answer.
I think the war issue, and I was mentioning this earlier. So Andy, want to get your opinion as you are our guest in here now. So when you look at the War Powers Act, constitutional powers of the president as commander in chief to introduce the United States Armed Forces into hostilities or into situations where imminent involvement in hostilities is clearly indicated by the circumstances and are exercised only pursuant to 1, a declaration of war, 2, a specific statutory authorization, 3, a national emergency created by an attack on the United States, its territories, possessions, or the armed forces. I think the reason why is it a war or is it not a war comes to right here and about asking for, going to Congress, because Bush, you sound like you know what's going on with Iraq as well as Afghanistan. They used the AUMF, but went to Congress to get authority to do that. Obama did not, when he was bombing a bunch of nations, and I think everybody knows that I'm pretty much on record as calling that guy a war criminal over and over again. And so when I come to the action that we just took right now and go, well, which of these does the War Powers Resolution clearly allow him, the power to be able to do that? We haven't declared war. There is no specific statutory authorization to go into Iran, and we haven't been attacked. But if we did follow Israel in and we thought we were going to be retaliated against, that makes somewhat sense. But that means the United States is following, not leading. Your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, I have to. This is a lot to take in.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. My attention span sucks today. I had to pull it up so I could read it myself anyway.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't know if I am not. I'm trying to get it to be maybe even a little bit bigger. I've shared it on the screen.
In fairness, it is a little small. I'm kind of fucking squinting at it.
How about that? Is that any better?
That is way better.
that's better.
That is way better, actually. Yeah.
So I think this is why what I was saying earlier, I don't know if you heard it or not, but I was saying the Rubio comments are such a linchpin, because I think Secretary Rubio was completely honest when he said that they had advanced knowledge that Israel was going to take a strike. They were going to take a shot. They had intel that they were all going to be in the same spot. They had a shot. And we're going to get attacked, and you can make sort of.
Yeah, I think he slipped on that, and I obviously, and then Trump tried to backtrack it by saying he tried to convince them to go to war, but I do think that, I mean, look, I have to say, Israel actually has a reason to go after Iran.
100%.
We don't, you know, I don't
do.
really, but at the same time, we knew the backlash, you know, they're not stupid. They knew they were going to attack our bases. They would suck us in the war as well. It's a bad situation all around.
It's the explanation that makes the most sense. Like me and Chris were saying, right? What Rubio said before he tried to backtrack it is what makes the most sense. Because what you just said, Israel has a reason to strike. They were going to, because they knew they had an opportunity. We knew that if they did, the retaliation would be against us. So rather than sit it out, we joined in.
Yeah,
right?
we got the intel we needed to take out as much as we possible. And obviously there's never anything good that comes of war in general anyway. So I can't really comment on a lot of it because I don't know what the future holds. I don't know. I only know what I read. I listen to a million different opinions. They're all different. I think some people are crazy. I actually think there's people that want Iran to win just because they hated it in Israel so much. I'm really convinced of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen posts in other groups saying like, I'm rooting for Iran.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it says I'm rooting for Iran. You know, I hope they destroy Israel. I hope they kill all our troops so Trump, you know, so we don't have to deal with Trump any longer and he can be impeached. It's like, wow, like, you know what? I get you being against the war, but going that far, you know, that's just the way it is now.
You see these comments coming in? We got a couple people.
Yeah, I just saw them. I didn't know when they actually. I didn't have the comments on there, but I'm gonna put them on there so people can see them on the stage. Maybe you have to send Don Taylor the link too.
Yeah,
if he wants to join.
But
yeah, I think it's tough.
Football with him.
So, you know, for that, that's where I think the Israel absolutely has a right to, or I mean, right, but they have a beef to be able to sit there and go. They're taking that out, and surely Iran has funded a shit ton of terrorism. That was always my thing. Whenever we hear them talk, they're funding terrorism. They're doing that. We're doing it on behalf of an ally. And you know, I would just rather see us transparent. But I think
they aren't going to be an ally much longer. Whoever the next president, I mean, I think they're, you know, they need to get their independence now because no matter who the next president is, I think our relationship with them is done.
With Israel?
Yes.
I don't know if it's done, but I think that there is at this point way more pushback against that than there ever has been in my lifetime. Right.
It has nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter who the prime minister is either. I know people hate Bibi, but no matter who the prime minister is, it's not going to, you know, Bibi's just, you know, it's kind of like everyone hates Trump, but, you know, whether it's Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis or Marco Rubio, whoever the next guy running, they're going to be hated just as much. You know, that's just the way the world works. I mean, it happened to Mitt Romney when he ran against Obama.
Yeah.
That's just the way the world, that's the way the media works. That's the way, and now you have social media as well. I hate to say it, you know, you know, Trump just makes news stations money.
I think that's kind of what we have to fight against, though, right? Is like we can't continue to treat everybody as our mortal enemies because of a difference of opinion. And we get lost in the fact that, well, that's just the way it is now. Like, and I always share that clip of John McCain when he was campaigning against Obama, and that woman in the audience tried to call Obama a Muslim and all this, and he was like, absolutely not. Yeah. And he was
like, oh my God, I loved that so much.
It's such a great clip, right? And it reminds me that not even 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we were not in the place we are today. We were in a place where people could have different opinions and be able to say, hey, we might fully disagree, but that's a good man who wants the best for this country, and we just see it differently. And we need to get back to that place. And part of getting back to that place is on us, right? Part of getting back to that place is on us. And Pokes, it's so interesting, man. I'm going to riff just for a second on what you said earlier about how the left and right are never going to work together again and how people just hate each other. I've told this story before in the group a little bit. My best friend in the entire world is a Trump guy. He is my best friend. My father, who I fucking adore, who I've got a great relationship, was a Trump guy. He's come around a little bit now, right? But I cannot divorce myself from the person I've known from 25 years or 40 years and say, this is a shitty person. This is a horrible individual because of the choice that they made, because I know them much more deeply than that. I know them much more deeply than that, than to just say this one choice defines who they are as a person.
There's a big difference between a Trumper and a MAGA.
There is, but wait,
back up for a second.
Yeah.
Trumper and a MAGA?
Christina, explain that.
It's a big difference because you have to me, I guess, without offending people, I'll have to keep.
You won't offend me.
To me, MAGA is radicalized. That's what MAGA is to me.
MAGA is radicalized, but like, look at this point, and man, this is such an interesting topic to navigate. If you're still supporting Trump at this point, how can you say you're not radicalized? Like, you clearly you are.
Well, what if you support What if you support? So let me, I've explained this to you a bunch of times, and we've had this conversation. I support that. This is what I want. I want our border to be secure. I want people that are here. I want people that are here not only illegally, but are actual criminals out of this country. But I'm not looking for some guy who happens to be here looking for a better life on his way to getting citizenship, who is actually trying to make a better life. I don't want to see that person rounded up, and I don't want to see somebody grabbing their kid out of school.
But that's what's happening.
Yeah, I disagree with it. I disagree with it 100%. Yeah. I don't like the way that ICE is conducting themselves. It looks like a lot of the people that are working for ICE are very not trained.
That offends me more.
Say again, Christina, because I can't. We couldn't hear you. You're cutting out.
What offends me more are the criminals running our country.
Huh.
I want them deported.
That's fair.
We're not going to deport.
That would also be a fair thing to say on the last administration too, if we're being honest. But and it's a fair thing to say on this administration.
Would you say that's subjective?
Of course, it's subjective because we're not deporting Americans at that particular point. So here's some idea. Do you support the U.S. and the President of the United States? Not the same thing. I want to take that first. Absolutely. Those are absolutely not the same things. And it's a founding principle, essentially, to be able to throw crap at politicians, to be able to redress our grievances. Like, that's the genesis of the First Amendment, that we're always going to be able to have that sort of ability. I'm always like, what's the job of that? To do what? To be able to push back against government, to be able to get your issues brought up, to protest, to gather, right?
For checks and balances, right? Keeping people.
Well, that's Congress.
There's obviously going to be Americans that are, and there's. I don't trust any politician. That's just me in general. But let's go back a couple years. Let's go back to when, because one of the things people on the right like to point to is like, well, people didn't really care when Obama did it. When he had ICE, deporting people, nobody really cared. So here's a difference. When Obama did it, fuck me for actually giving Obama a compliment. Hated that fucking guy. But anyway, but he did it the right way. They were getting out the people that need to get out. They weren't forcing themselves into schools. They weren't
correct
people out of cars. They weren't doing things the wrong way. But at the same time, I also think people. So there's two ways to look at it. Yes, they're overstepping and it's bad. But at the same time, the people that are pushing back are not really pushing back against ICE. They're pushing back against Trump.
I don't think so, brother.
I do. I do.
don't think so.
I think it's a combination. I don't think it's one or the other.
Yeah, exactly, Kendall. It's a combination, and people are pushing back against both. And I don't think it
pushback
helps.
is because 75% of the people they're detaining and arresting have zero record. Yes, that's a real stat. That's from DHS. That's from DHS.
You know,
Yeah, well, that's just pathetic, and that's bad. Then
if
you know,
you're getting it wrong 3 out of 4 times, fuck you, dude.
I mean, that girl that they shot like 7. What was it? Like 7 times, and she lived, and they like bragged about it afterwards and stuff. Nothing has happened to any of those cops. Like none of them, and she was a U.S. citizen.
And she was a U.S. citizen, which has happened multiple times now, right? And so I think what we're seeing is that, to Andy, I agree with you completely with the difference between what Obama did and what Trump did, because Obama actually deported more people, right? Is method and
but
optics.
People also work with him. You know, people on the opposite side also work. Nobody on the opposite side is working.
He wasn't rolling. He wasn't rolling the military through cities.
I think that's where communication skills.
Both sides were also working together more back then when Obama was president.
I don't think that Trump is trying to work with the other side, though. Let me ask you guys an honest question. Has been very clear that he has labeled Democrats as crazy people. I mean, even at the State of the Union, he like got on there and was like, "There's something wrong with these people." You know, like there's something wrong with them. And just
but to be fair, I agree with him. I just also think there's something wrong with Republicans.
Sure, but like when people are trying to say that he's like a unifying person, and he's just not. He's so divisive, and he's not trying to put in. He's even calling his own people in his party Republicans and threatening them if they don't go along with what he wants them to do.
Threatening who? Marjorie Taylor. Marjorie Taylor Greene,
Massey,
who the left just suddenly loves now.
Nancy Mace, Lauren
Mrs.
Boebert,
I hate trans people is suddenly like a darling on the Democratic Party.
But here's the thing, Andy. Like, because I agree with you. Like, obviously that's a weird switch up, right? But like, it speaks to that there are certain issues like a Liz Cheney or like a Marjorie Taylor Greene that you can agree with and say, hey, look, I hate that fucking retard, but they're getting this shit right? Okay. Like they're getting this thing correct, right?
Well, Nick Fuentes is telling everybody to vote Democrat now.
I know.
You guys good with him?
I'm not, because I fucking hate the fucking Democrats. I fucking hate the Democrats.
I'm just making a point based on what you said.
Yeah,
Nick Fuentes is one of the worst people on this planet.
Who will agree with him. There are Democrats who will say, "Hey, look, we disagree with Nick Fuentes on 99% of things, but when he tells you vote Democrat, he's correct."
So I think what we're doing here is exacerbating part of the problem, or at least maybe shining a light on it. Is that I don't know what the technical term is. I would refer to it as directional politics, meaning we're taking something that maybe one person or something does and projecting it out onto all. Or if you agree on one point, then you're associated with agreeing with what everything was said, because it's kind of what Andy was just implying right there. She's got this long position of like being anti-trans, which would be a huge no-no on the Democratic side. But there's this issue, right? Yeah, there's this issue about Epstein. There's this issue about Epstein, and all of a sudden, if you agree with them, it's being portrayed as well. Then you just must agree with everything that she has said in the past. So, and to this point, Massey hated Trump ever since he wouldn't pass his legislation.
It's not really that, Chris. It's just the fact that when I see people that, like what if Trump comes out later, and says something everybody agrees with? It's always the broken clocks thing. And it's always saying, well, yeah, they're absolutely spot on with this, but bad people are bad people. I never liked Marjorie Taylor Greene from the beginning. I hated her when everybody else on your side hated her. I say your side as in, you know, the
I
opposite
still
side of
don't
me,
like
but
her.
So,
Just
yeah,
think
and
she's right on
someone
this
being a
thing.
bad
a lot of
person
people,
doesn't mean
but
they're
you know,
wrong about
just
it.
because you guys don't like her doesn't mean that she's not going to start going on to, you know, MS Now or The View, which, you know, they're bringing her on. You know, Megyn Kelly, people are starting
Megyn
to
Kelly,
praise
yeah.
her for her views just because she's against this war. That's because, you know, I don't know. I honestly wonder if some of these people are like Tucker Carlson, for example. I think he's gone off the deep end. I know he has his views of being against this war, which a lot of people agree with, but at the same time, this guy has a house in Qatar now. Now, you think that guy's not getting money from them?
No, I'm sure
come
he
on.
is.
Qatar is like the biggest sponsor of like every single anti-Israel protest there is.
But so
Didn't we just get a jet from Qatar?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
I don't understand that one.
I mean, like, what are we?
Everybody on this
aren't they
podcast right now
building like a
knows
military
that I
base
criticize
in
that.
Montana or somewhere up north? Like, aren't they like getting all kinds of deals because of Trump now? I don't understand.
Andy, you saw that post I made the other day where I have always hated Tucker, right? But like since he left mainstream media, he's had several interviews, not just the one that I posted, but a whole bunch of them.
But like I said, I watched the entire. So yeah, Mike Huckabee got that thing wrong that you put up. You know, and it made it look like Israel's trying to take over the world.
Not even about that.
It's great that 0.02% of, you know, the entire population is going to take over the world, the banks, everything. We're killing it. We're killing it. We're going to take over everything. Sooner or later, we're going to be owning your homes. But let me get back to my point. So basically, I watched all 2 hours and 46 minutes of that podcast.
Yeah,
and there were maybe 2 or 3 points that Tucker got Huckabee on. Mm-hmm. If you watch the rest of that podcast, Huckabee destroyed Tucker. And when I say destroyed, I mean destroyed. Tucker didn't even leave the fucking airport. He he refused to actually look at the Christianity in the entire country. He just left the airport and left. Then he lied about getting detained because he's a fucking idiot.
Sure.
And it was proven that, you know, it was proven. Then they showed video of him taking pictures with the security guys that he said detained him.
None of that is what I'm talking about at all.
I know what you're saying.
All I'm talking about is how Tucker, since he left mainstream media, has been one of the only journalists, and I never thought he would be, who pushes back hard on people, who really grills people when they say shit that doesn't make sense. And I've posted multiple interviews with him, not just the Huckabee one, but I'd have to go back and look at who the other interviewees were, who he was interviewing. But I've posted 3 or 4 Tucker interviews where he's just really like in a very professional way holding people's feet to the fire and being like, no. I thought you just said this. I thought you just explain this. Like, that's what we need. We need journalists who are willing to not just accept answers that don't make any fucking sense and be like, oh, well, okay, thank you for your answer.
You're talking about the same guy that went to Russia and praised Russia and interviewed Vladimir Putin.
Same guy. It's fucking wild.
Look
right?
at these grocery stores. They're so nice.
Yeah. Exactly. Exact same guy.
That was actually pretty funny. But
it was crazy, right?
So our third topic, I think we at some point have to get to our third topic, which was
at some
Epstein.
point have to get to.
Yep.
We've already been on for 2 fucking hours.
I'll stay for a little while longer if you want me here.
Yeah.
You are welcome to. We got about 15 minutes, maybe at max, to tap this out as far as Epstein.
That means
I'm going to grab my drink. I'll be right back.
So, you know, there were some thoughts in there about Massey. I think people, what I've found really interesting is like I've actually loved the fact that there has been one of the very few bipartisan things that people can rally around. And you know, who would have thought exactly to what Andrew, your point is like, there are some things that should be considered objective. Most things are subjective,
like child rape,
anti-pedo is the whole thing, trafficking, not to deminimize any sort of rape aspect, but
For sure.
there was trafficking that was going on. And
100%.
there were other crimes that were being committed. There were lots of financial crimes that were being committed that we seem to be prosecuting and not purple walking there. I think it says something about us going into Venezuela to get Maduro, or being part of a bombing run that got the opportunity. That's fine.
Nice comment.
Yeah, I had to put that one up on the screen. Oh fuck, where was I going? Shit.
Who is Texas NT? I feel like it's Silva.
Oh, it definitely is someone. I have no idea.
I feel like it's.
I have no idea.
Stop in a little bit.
Kendall went to get another drink. She'll be right back.
It's good to see
Carlos
Massey and
Carlos is about Tucker
coming together.
Yeah, he's right on that one.
Massey and
who? See people coming
Massey
together.
and Kana? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's good to see that.
Yeah, for sure. Look, here's the thing: that the Epstein, like you said, is something that we can all come together on, right? And there should be more things besides just Epstein that all of us can come together on. My soapbox, real quick. It's a working class versus ruling class struggle, not a left versus right struggle. Left versus right is a distraction. It's about us as the normal people versus them as the tippy top. Okay. But there should be more things than just Epstein that all of us can come together on. However, thank the Lord that all of us can come together on the Epstein shit and say that anybody who was involved in this should be strung up by their fucking balls, right? Like, we all should be in agreement on that.
Agreed.
What kills me about it is that you get people who are very willing to condemn certain people who are mentioned in the files, even adjacently, but are still unwilling to condemn people who are mentioned directly and who even had sworn testimony under oath.
I'm gonna be the dissenting opinion on this one.
Yeah.
So and look, like I said, anyone who is guilty in the Epstein files, and I mean this, everyone is guilty, as far as I'm concerned, deserves the electric chair. I don't really care who you are. I know there's a ton of people mentioned in it. I mean, if you actually go through all the names, I know Trump's mentioned 38,000 times. I also seen a bunch of people mention, and Bill Gates actually was pretty, that was pretty bad what I saw of him.
100%.
But at the same time, I feel like there needs to be an actual trial on it, like a real trial. I mean, people say the Clintons went up. Did you see Bill Clinton looking at the damn thing? Somebody handed him a file. He was looking at a picture of a girl in the Epstein files. He was smiling. The fucking person had to take it away from him. I mean, that dude. At the same time, like, I mean, and I know you guys know what I'm talking about, but like,
I don't actually.
That's there was a video. Stephen Hawking's in the fucking files. What could he have done? That dude could, if he got blown, would he have felt it? I mean, seriously, like, I don't know, like, but
I don't
know who. I don't know who.
I don't care if he felt it or not. If he was involved, then he should go to jail.
I'm just saying his name is involved. Anybody who's guilty, anybody who's in it and is actually guilty, 100%. I know there's accusations. I want to see everything. I want to see everything laid out, and I want to see it on the table. I don't think we're never gonna get it.
You got to peel the layer.
Well, they're deleting.
There's levels to it, and I think this is super important. So I want to address it real quickly.
But let me finish first. There's one other thing, and look, do I think Trump could be involved? Yes, and if he is, 100%. Now here's the other thing: if Trump, this is, and I know this
Who walks
has been
around
brought up.
saying I've been completely exonerated? Who fucking does that? Like,
I've been completely exonerated by all the accusations that I rape children.
Do you really have any doubt during the last administration if Trump, the last administration, and Merrick Garland?
Of course I have doubt because it would have exposed all the Democrats.
Hold on.
No.
Let him finish.
Yeah.
Let him finish.
But I'm just saying, if that could have gotten Harris elected, I still think they would have used it.
I don't think so,
no.
because they were still going through court proceedings with Ghislaine and appeals and everything else. I mean, it was still, it wasn't even available.
I don't think these files could have been released
that
anytime.
has anything to do with it. I think what
I
think these files have not been released because they see people in it that they need to protect, and that's everybody that's involved.
Well, I think that absolutely is part of it.
Correct. That is why it wasn't released, even though it would have prevented Trump, is because it would have condemned dozen or more of high-level Democrats as well as international interest in the royal family and in other countries and whatever. So that whole argument to me is an argument for retards. Okay. Oh, they would have released it if it would have condemned Trump. No, they wouldn't have, because it would have also condemned fucking 80 other people who were their allies. Okay. It's a stupid fucking argument. Okay.
But
the argument is that everyone in power, and again, it's ruling class versus working class versus ruling class. Okay. The reason that it didn't get released isn't because of Trump or because of Biden or because of Prince Andrew or because of anybody else. It's because it would expose this entire group of people who runs the fucking world.
Well, I think that's true, but I also think there were also
let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So this is how I look at it. I see three groups of people. You have the group of people with the Epstein files. You have the group of people on the left who I honestly think they'll never be satisfied until Trump is implicated in the Epstein files.
He was implicated.
No.
There is no until he was.
No. Let me finish my point. That's group number one. Group number two, there's the group of people that want to see everyone involved, no matter who it is. Implicated, and they want them, and then you have
investigated. I want it all.
Yes, okay. All of it.
And then you have group number three, the people on the right who don't, who will never say that Trump had nothing to do with it, but they only want everybody on the left side of the aisle implicated. So so you have those three group of people. Now, I personally believe there's all three. But at the same time, depending on who you ask, I do think people are more biased on it. And
the only valid group is group two.
That's the only valid group.
That's the only valid
group. That's the only valid group. But I also think most of the people that say they're in group two are either in group one or three.
Now, that is true because people lie and don't know themselves, right? People
exactly.
I agree with that. People are they lack self-awareness. They lack honesty. They don't really truly believe the things they say. Like I can get with you on that 100%. The fact of the matter, and this is what I see more than anything, is that out of all the people in these files, the one person with probably the most clear evidence and accusations is Donald Trump. We have sworn testimony under oath. We have the FBI calling it credible on 4 different occasions. We have all sorts of different
nobody's ever lied under oath.
Confirmed.
A 13-year-old.
Again, people have lied under oath, but we're talking about mountains of evidence for Trump because he was mentioned 38 times.
And it's not just the Epstein files. Like, think about everything else he's been accused of prior to this. Like, where there's
in addition to the Epstein
like, at
files,
some point, we just have to
So this is an argument, yeah. So
and honestly, this is a great example of it. Let me finish, and then I'll flip it to you. Right? Like this is actually a great example of it. We have not just the Epstein files where he's the most mentioned. not just sworn testimony under oath and lawsuits, not just the FBI confirming it was credible, not just him being convicted in a court of law, not just all of these different things, but we have all of this evidence that you, for some reason, want to be like, but how do we know for sure? But then there's other people who we have way fucking less evidence, and we're like, string that motherfucker up, right? I'm in the opposite camp where I'm like, no, for sure, string them all up, right?
String 'em
And
all up.
that's the fucking difference to me, right? I don't have any fucking desire, not a bone in my body wants to defend Donald Trump or Bill Clinton or Bill Gates or Stephen Hawking. Fuck every one of those motherfuckers in the ass with a fucking cactus. I don't give
I want
a
to see it.
fuck.
I want to see a
I don't give
trial.
a fuck.
That's
I
the,
wanna
that's
see
the
an
thing.
actual
So
trial.
Yeah.
that's where I was trying to go. Is that we've taken action against foreign nations, but we haven't made one arrest. You know,
Yeah.
we
Other
haven't,
nations.
And other nations have.
and other
Not
nations have.
based
You know,
off
we've seen
fire.
Based off-
corporate
I wanna see-
accountability.
like I said, I want to see a trial. I mean,
You're
if
not
somebody,
gonna see a trial because
No,
then
we're
all
not
of the fucking ruling elites would lose their fucking position and they'd all end up being executed for child rape. You're not
Yeah.
gonna see a trial.
no, you're not. No, I'm not saying that you were going to see one. I said I want to see one.
I mean,
Well,
I
yeah,
would love that too.
yeah.
I would also
I said I
love
would
to
like
wake
to
up
see one.
tomorrow with fucking
But I also
$10 billion
of the
in my
opinion that
bank.
we're never going to get anybody. Nobody's going to jail because the only one who has actually gone to jail for it is Maxwell.
The weaponized FBI. Which FBI is weaponized and which one isn't? Is it just during the years that the Democrats are presidents? Or is it during all the years? Or is it only the years that you want it to be? Get the fuck out of here, the weaponized FBI. The FBI is an accomplice. They were part of it. They fucking helped with the cover up because they had intelligence assets involved in it. It's a fucking stupid comment, whoever you are.
I have
Yes.
maintained that. I have maintained that as well. Is that the big underlying issue? I think is that, I mean, Epstein has the complete competence of somebody that was an intelligence asset,
Of course.
and very likely for multiple countries, or has had the ability to do that. And there's
Oh, I thought it was
significant-
Mossad because he's Jewish with absolutely no proof of that. But
no, there's not.
I
There's
mean-
not proof of that. I just said that there's foreign intelligence because
It
when
just
you think
sounds
about,
good.
well, again, don't walk into the.
He
like,
could have been. He could have been.
victimized.
I don't know, but I'm just saying. You
But,
know,
like,
I've heard that.
What does the
I've heard-
CIA do? Like, right? What does the CIA do? You have assets who are supposed to gather intelligence. Sometimes they have to do compromising things to gain intelligence. We've all heard about those things or read declassified projects that have happened in the past. Like, that is the competency. And here you had somebody who had the competency that said that that they had or clearly with these files to be able to compromise people. The amount of compromise he had Les Wexner and was
How many people?
incredible.
How many people here even knew who Jeffrey Epstein was before he actually killed himself? And I say that sincerely because I didn't.
I knew way before he killed himself.
No,
Way
okay,
before he
before
killed
he was arrested.
No,
In
not before he was
2008?
arrested.
Not
Not
before he was
before he was
arrested. No.
No, I didn't know until
I didn't
he
even
was
know who the fuck he
arrested.
was.
And everything
I was
came
a
out. Yeah.
young.
I actually
adult.
didn't I didn't even look into him until actually he killed himself. I really didn't know.
Mhm. So
You know, for years we heard about
let
the
me
Hillary
answer this since this
conspiracy.
is directed at me, right? So when the FBI says something, okay, the FBI again were accomplices in this, okay? They were part of this whole, and the CIA, our own intelligence community, was likely working with Epstein on all of this, right? We know from 100, 200 years of history that our intelligence communities can work against the American people. Okay. We have tons of instances of the intelligence community doing things that do not benefit us as people, but benefit
Can I-
intelligence assets, right?
Can I
That's what this
hijack
is.
something for a minute?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
it's, and I don't know, I guess you're probably going to 2 hours, but
Yeah, for sure.
do
We'll just
you,
keep rolling, bro.
now this is a great, I've always, I've been thinking about this for a while because do you think the way that, and I go back to how both sides hate each other, But do you ever think that we'll ever have? It's gotten so bad that we actually, I don't think either side will ever trust our justice system again, depending on who's running it.
Mm.
That's
So
the
like, what?
The comment.
So that Andy,
Christina, you agree with this because I know you don't.
What?
You don't trust our justice system at all.
but you said depending on who's running it. I want to
Depending
change.
on who's running. No,
I
no,
just
no,
wanna
no.
change
I
one
just
word.
depending
I just
depending
wanna-
on depending on who's running it. Nobody's ever going to trust into a like, for example, our Supreme Court justices. You know, if Trump's anointing a new Supreme Court justice, nobody's going to trust that person. Although
For sure.
anybody here should at least say, well, I would say Amy Coney Barrett has actually been pretty fair.
And so's Gorsuch.
Yes, of course,
Yeah.
and but at the same time, people are never going to trust it if they go on a vote that they don't like.
Yes.
And
So
people are not going to trust. People are not going to trust anybody. And you know, the FBI, as long as Kash Patel is running it, people aren't going to trust the FBI. It's kind of like the last administration when Christopher Wray was running it.
So
It doesn't matter.
There were
So two quick things, Pokes. I want to address what you said first. So you said regardless of who's running it, I just
Yeah.
want, or excuse me, depending on who's running it is what you said. I would
Yeah.
just change 2 words. I said I would never trust our justice system regardless of who's running it. It doesn't matter if it's
Right.
Democrats or
Right.
Republicans. To me, they're part of the same ruling class. Again, it's not left and right for me. It's top versus bottom. So it's not depending on who's running it at all. It's regardless of
I think
who's running
both.
it.
I actually
right?
think both. I think you're right, but I think both can be true.
So that both can be true for sure. And there are a ton of people who are like what you said, who will be depending on. There's a ton of people who will be depending on. I'm just saying for me personally, it will be regardless of, right? And then for the secondary question of why did I say there were credible FBI reports? Because they did 4 interviews with the exact same person and said, hey, this seems to be legitimate. And they, again, were working as part of this case. So they were involved directly in the Epstein.
So if that's the case, and I'm just asking questions, what's, you know, if that's the case, what's the end goal? You know, what's the next step on that after that?
For with Epstein or with
With
not
Epstein,
trusting the justice?
with Epstein, what's
Uh,
the next step on that?
I would like to line everybody up next to a giant ditch and then publicly televise their execution by firing squad.
As
No,
long as they have
seriously,
due
though.
process.
What's the
You need a
actual
trial.
next step?
Yeah, as
Okay,
long
what's
as
the
you
act-
indict
yeah,
them.
I understand what
What
you're
Chris
saying.
said, what Chris
What's the actual?
Indictment.
What's you know, like,
Indictments.
and how do
Seriously,
you
though,
and
yeah,
how do you
there
make
needs
that
to
happen?
be indictments. Yeah.
You need indictments. You need a trial. You need due process.
Yeah.
Then
And it won't
feel free to
happen.
go ahead and. But and I don't think.
I think politicians, no matter who they are almost, unless they're just a low grade politician, I think most of them are just immune from any prosecution of any kind.
It's.
I don't
horrible.
trust
We
our
should wrap up.
politicians.
It's
Politicians-
2 hours. It's
Yep.
2 hours. Any final thoughts? Final comments?
Even if they're immune from prosecution, they're not immune from being called in for questioning, right? Or being subpoenaed or being
Well, they shouldn't be.
at least talked to, right? Like, I mean,
They
I just-
shouldn't be. I mean,
I
I'll give
just
that.
feel like there should be some kind of something. I mean, we can't just like move on from this and act like it didn't happen.
Why aren't we
Like,
executing people?
I can't understand like
There have
why.
been no trials yet.
Okay,
There have been no trials. You
But
cannot.
there-
We're not that. We're not that kind of.
were
but I think
there
people have to,
trials during the French Revolution?
I think.
This is,
Yeah.
this is
and-
why Goobler wears his free Luigi shirt.
Yeah. And you have to have
That's
a
right,
space
buddy.
where,
I
That's
love
right,
that.
100%.
you know,
100%.
we have to be thankful. To me, I am thankful for the Hillary emails from 2016 because we got indication of government research into UFOs and the existence of UFOs and aliens, and
I've
two,
heard you talk about
I
this
purposely have
we
not
got-
followed the UFO
I've
story.
talk about UFOs
That's-
all night.
we'll do that as a maybe we'll do that as the next one because I can go down the rabbit hole. But the second one
I'm
was
just talking about, like,
Pizzagate.
when we're-
Was
yeah.
Pizzagate. And I'm sorry, with the numbers of references that in the Epstein files to pizza and grape soda and references to girls, send that over. The pizza was great, like all this kind of stuff. It's not a one-to-one, but there is such a connection that is so deep in here that I've always been on the reason why, even though the Biden administration had 4 months to be able to release those files from the end of the Maxwell trial to the end of the Biden administration. They had 4 months to do that. They didn't, because they would be exposing their system. So fuck all of them, but we need trial, we need indictments, we need trials, and then those who are involved, because it's not every name. I mean, come on, there were people in there who died like in 1970, like years before Epstein was born or something like that. Or here you've been like 12.
Context matters, and that's my final comment, and then I'll bow out for when you say that this comment can't have it both ways. FBI is either trustworthy or not, right? You see this comment here. That's not actually true, right? Everything is contextually dependent, right? In some
not true
situations,
that we're not all better people on video.
I was going to say,
no, that part's true. That part's true, 100%. Right? Look, I'm way better on video, but there's 100% that everything depends on context, right? Everything depends on context. There are times where something's trustworthy. There's times where something's not trustworthy. But to your point, Chris, if we can't get trials and indictments and like this type of public justice that the public really needs and craves, the backup plan to that is guillotines. And if we can go that route, I think that will be a great deterrent for future administrations and politicians. Fuck around and find out. We'll chop your fucking head off.
Why don't we bring this back medieval shit like flang?
Flang. That's great. I love that.
Let's do UFOs next time. We'll do UFOs next time.
What's the one torture where they put a bunch of rats into a big cylinder on your belly and they light the cylinder on fire?
Both of you need to stop talking.
I want to do UFOs and flock surveillance technology, please.
UFOs, flock surveillance technology.
I was here for flock tonight, but I was just, I'm just enjoying myself. This is my first one with you guys, so I want to talk about flock technology so badly.
All right, we'll do that. We'll do that next time.
Just admit I made your show a lot better tonight.
It was good, bro. We were happy to have you. Dude. Yeah, for sure. But we need one more subject. But besides those two, we need one more third subject for the next pod.
We'll pick one more. But
okay, we should not wait 8 months before.
I got a good one for you. How about politics and